What are the Russian-Ukraine war?
Мною принято решение о проведении специальной военной операции.
The Costa Rican government, the crypto trading platform Crypto.com, GPU producing company NVIDIA,
it was a wake-up call for us,
and Microsoft all have in common? Only the fact that they were all involved in the top 5 most damaging cyber attacks of 2022. When it comes to the Russia-Ukraine conflict, it's no surprise cyber warfare has been on the rise since day one.
Russia is known to use cyber warfare.
Russia has been actively using disinformation to wage an information war against Ukraine.
Even organizations that are usually far from the realm of war have involved themselves in the Ukraine-Russia cyber war. Throughout this year, Ukraine's internet security was rigorously tested by relentless cyber attacks from a variety of hackers. Ukraine had to deal with a Russian-affiliated hacker group targeting over 1,500 government, public, and private entities. They had to fend off hacking attacks on telecom operators and server providers. They had to avoid phishing attacks aimed at government agencies, and they even had to dig for malware and translation software that seemed completely innocent. But the worst thing is, those were just a fraction of the more than 200 separate instances of Russia hacking Ukraine throughout the war. Needless to say, Ukraine wasn't going to take these attacks lying down. Instead, they retaliated with their own barrage of cyber attacks, with a formidable ally joining their side, the hacker collective Anonymous.
Greetings, citizens of the world. This is a message to Vladimir Putin.
Notorious hacking group Anonymous has declared war on Russia.
Это в России. Слава Україні, героям слава.
По всіх каналах російських у нас тут показують одне й те саме. От молодці хлопці, що зробили.
Hundreds of their murdered children. TV and the authorities are lying. No to war.
Russia suffered heavy blows from the hackers, who managed to infiltrate Russian Sberbank, leaking a lot of sensitive data. At the same time, other threat actors have been sowing chaos in Russian infrastructure for a while now, through data leaks, DDoS attacks, and taking advantage of people's fear of mobilization. Some big IT companies lost employee data due to smart phishing attacks, promising mobilization delays. One hacker collective even managed to cause an explosion on the hydropower plant, causing massive economic damage, but no casualties. Just like Ukraine, these cases were just raindrops in a sea of cyber attacks aimed against Putin's regime. Over 150 distinct attacks managed to find their mark, with the war showing no signs of slowing at the time of this recording. It's impossible to know how many organizations and individuals have faced the consequences of this cyber warfare firsthand. Meanwhile, as Ukraine and Russia are facing off in relentless cyber war, the government of Costa Rica has suffered severe damage from pro-Russian threat actors.
Múltiples instituciones estatales en Costa Rica han recibido ataques cibernéticos en la...
Se trata de una vulneración al Ministerio de Hacienda,
In April of 2022, a ransomware gang known by the name of their software, Conti, launched a devastating attack against the country of Costa Rica. Successfully accessing the government's network, Conti ransomware affected over 1 terabyte of sensitive data, with the majority of backups encrypted by ransomware. The hackers demanded $10 million in return for releasing the data. But the damage done by these threat actors has exceeded that number tenfold, costing the government of Costa Rica an estimated $60 million on average each day, paralyzing their foreign trade and tax platforms and taking the country's entire treasury offline, causing massive civil unrest on top of monetary losses. The attack occurred during Costa Rican presidential elections, at the end of which a new president, Rodrigo Chavez, took the reins on May 8th. His first order of business? A national emergency decree on cybersecurity. In the end, Costa Rica ended up not paying a single cent to the Conti cyber attack. And since then, the group has been on the decline, beginning to dismantle its brand on May 19th. Today, Conti is no longer active. Their members disbanded, joining different hacker gangs. However, the damage they dealt was not remedied until later that summer, when, according to local sources, the last Costa Rican system to come back online was reactivated on the 24th of June. Hackers like those from Conti often ask for ransom in cryptocurrencies to stay anonymous, and because crypto payments are thought to be secure, or at least they used to be, until one event shattered that belief. Earlier this year, crypto trading platform Crypto.com announced that over 500 of their users were hacked. Through these hacked accounts, hackers managed to steal cryptocurrencies worth somewhere between 34 and 35 million USD, according to various sources. Usually, it would be impossible for someone to initiate a trade through Crypto.com without possessing a two-factor authenticator. However, hackers managed to somehow disable or bypass this security measure, or maybe it wasn't working properly in the first place. In any case, the Crypto.com hacker went through the security like an open door and left undetected with the haul. He was never caught. Is Crypto.com safe now following this cyber attack? It's hard to say, but it's clear that the administration of the website took the matter seriously, introducing new security measures with multi-factor authentication. They also refunded all monies lost to the Crypto.com hack, and even instituted a fund restoration policy of up to $250,000 for future victims of hacking. Still, this event remains one of the most damaging cybercrimes of 2022. But what hurts even more, it's an unsolved one. Hacking Crypto.com would be a monumental endeavor for any cybercriminal, no doubt. But what would you say if someone hacked Microsoft? And not just anyone, but a 16-year-old kid. This March, a threat actor managed to breach a corporate account of a single Microsoft employee, gaining access to the incomplete source code of Bing, Bing Maps, and Cortana. Only through the fast response of the Microsoft personnel was the scope of the attack reduced. Still, the hacker must not have been too experienced, or at very least got sloppy, leaving behind enough evidence to get tracked down. The 16-year-old hacker, left unnamed for legal reasons, was identified as belonging to the group of Lapsus hackers. Later, the hacker's identity got leaked by a competitor hacker group, revealing him to be a citizen of Oxford, England. Even though the damage done by the young threat actor wasn't too critical, with Microsoft admitting they don't put too much emphasis on the secrecy of their source codes, this raises a potentially scary security question. If compromising a single employee's privacy is so easy a teenager can do it, what if the tech giant was faced with an all-out breach? Unfortunately, NVIDIA has plenty to say on this subject. This year, they also suffered at the hands of the hacker group Lapsus. NVIDIA got acquainted with them almost a month before the Lapsus Microsoft hack. This time, however, the attack was very well planned, and most importantly, had a direct incentive that had to do with the crypto mining limiter on the NVIDIA RTX 3000 series graphics cards. Lapsus disliked the change enough to breach NVIDIA servers on February 25th, stealing trade secrets, GPU chipset files, and more, all in over 1 terabyte worth of confidential information. Lapsus threatened to leak all the data unless NVIDIA promised to remove mining limiters and make all future GPU drivers open source. Naturally, NVIDIA didn't bother complying with the hackers' demands. And soon, Lapsus got a taste of their own medicine, as NVIDIA allegedly got Lapsus hacked back, encrypting their own stolen files with ransomware. This sparked a surprisingly loud tantrum from the threat actors, who eventually managed to recover the stolen files from a backup. NVIDIA's files eventually were leaked, including the personal details of over 70,000 company employees. Even though the company ended up suffering considerable financial and reputational damage, its brave and defiant stance on fighting cybercrime was a sight to behold. So, there you have it. 5 major instances of cybercrime in 2022, most of which were left unpunished. The worst thing is, there will never be less cybercrime, only more. These 5 cases are just small potatoes compared to all the many incidents that occurred over this past year. And not all of them ended with the defeat of criminals, like the Costa Rica Conti case did. Lapsus is still active, Russia-Ukraine war news shows no signs of slowing, and if I was a betting man, I'd guess this won't be the only crime perpetrated by the Crypto.com hackers, whoever they are. With this in mind, maybe you should start taking your own cybersecurity a little more seriously. Why not begin by subscribing to this channel? We cover cybersecurity news and provide explainers like this one on a regular basis.